Hey y'all, so today I'm going to do a slightly different book review in the fact that I'm probably not even going to go into spoilers at all. This is very unique because I like to do non-spoiler sections and then spoiler sections. That way I can do a review for people that may be interested in the book but not sure. That way they can watch the non-spoiler section, but if they've already read it, then we can get into a conversation, a discussion about the book from the spoiler section. This book is different. I still don't know how I feel about it, and that is An Unkindness of Magicians. This book is by Kat Howard. It's a gorgeous cover, you can see. I think one of the reasons why I was drawn to it is because I love ravens, and it's called An Unkindness of Magicians. It seems right up my alley just from the title itself. And from the description, it seemed really interesting. I had seen it on a list of books for like people that love Harry Potter, adult books that you could read and enjoy now. So I thought that was interesting. And even from the back, I thought it sounded, like it could really have a good foundation, a good plot. What's interesting about this book is I use the book app called Bookly. I use it to keep up with how many pages I read in an hour or in a minute, and or how many minutes it takes me to read a page, I guess I should say. So I use that while I read, and I know a lot of people that makes them feel like there's a lot of pressure, but it keeps me motivated, to see, am I really struggling to focus? Is it, if is this book only taking me 2 minutes? It's about my average, about 2 minutes a page. Am I reading it at 2.5 minutes per page? Why is that? I, kind of pick up the pace if I want to finish it on time, basically. So it's just for myself, but in the app, there's also places where you can put in words. So like if you have a vocab word that you want to add, you can add it there. There's a place for quotes. So you put the page number and just the quote, and then there's a place for your thoughts. I normally have at least 1 to 2 quotes, sometimes more depending on the book, but I usually have at least 1. And then I'll have, my thoughts going throughout the book. I'll have a handful of thoughts, easily 5 or 6. I was reading this book and I was getting ready to do this review, and so I go to my app like I always do. I go to my quotes and realize there's no quotes. So I thought, oh, that's right. I mean, it's more of a contemporary type fantasy, so I just didn't find any profound quotes that I wanted to save. Not that surprising. But then I went to my thoughts, and there were none. I had put exactly 0 thoughts into this app for this book. And that was a little startling to me. I didn't realize that I hadn't bothered putting any thoughts down. And so that's kind of why I don't know how I feel about this book. The description of the magic, like the magic that they perform and the ways they do it, is very interesting. I thought they were really cool. It had a beautiful picture in your head when you're picturing the magic that they're doing. And I really enjoyed that part. It didn't really go into a lot of description as far as how the magic worked, where the magic came from, how this magic world really works. You get a semi-foundation, so you kind of understand, okay, you have these magic the magic houses where it's like, family houses, and the higher you are up in the family list, from this giant game that they play, then the more power you have. So it has a very political aspect to it that I did find interesting. It's only 350 pages though, and there was hardly any character work. There was hardly any magic world building. You get enough details to understand what is happening, but it doesn't go into any depth. And these characters, they're not very well rounded. You're looking at like a 2D character, and so that was disappointing. The thing about it though is, like I said, this is only 350 pages, and if you want to have a book that has a decent story, I don't really know how much character work and world building you can cram into 350 pages and still have a good story. And I think part of my problem is I'm coming off of, after reading this, I'm coming out of reading 600 and 700 page books in fantasy, and then going to half that size. So I feel like it's natural for me to miss that really deep character work and that deep world building. But the thing about this is I really, the plot was interesting, and at no point in the book did I actually ever think about DNFing it. I never felt like I wanted to just stop. I never really felt bored. So it was entertaining enough for me to finish it and not be unsatisfied completely. But then when I really stop and think about it and kind of started talking to my husband about it a little bit, like, I didn't really have much to say about it. And once again, like, I had no thoughts in my Bookly app. It was so weird and bizarre because I try to make sure. I have memory issues. I forget, like, if I have a thought, sometimes it just flies out of the window if I don't write it down. So I try to stay very vigilant in my note taking, and it just really surprised me that nothing, no notes whatsoever. The relationships that are built in the book, I feel like they were a bit stronger because, they're going through this plot together. So I feel like those relationships were a bit stronger, but the established relationships, there's a relationship of two men who are best friends, and they've been best friends since they were children. That didn't really feel, there wasn't a lot of depth to that friendship. You're kind of told that this friendship is deep and close, but you don't really have any evidence of that. That's just one of the examples. It's just kind of awkward and weird with the existing relationships. The new ones that are built during the book, they're better, they're stronger. The other thing is the conversations always feel a bit staged. And even the plot kind of feels a bit staged. I feel like the author may have had these pictures in her mind of, I want these characters in this place having this conversation, and so you don't have a lot of flow between these scenes. They're very contained in these particular scenes. So I don't know how much I would really, I don't know how much I have to say other than that. I don't really have a lot of spoilers. I don't really want to, there's just not enough to go into for spoilers, honestly. I am interested in reading the second one. I think it's called A Sleight of Shadows. That, I'll probably end up reading it, depending on how long it is. Because like I said, her writing was smooth. I could get down to almost a minute and a half, a minute and 1.25 minutes for a page. Of course, like I said, that this is the one that it's pretty double spaced. So I could read it pretty fast. I read it in a week. So I'm probably going to go ahead and pick up A Sleight of Shadows. It's the second one that's supposed to be coming out in June, I believe. So I may go ahead and try it because she may expand on the world a bit more. She may expand on the characters a bit more. And like I said, her plot was strong enough to keep me interested to the end. And I absolutely love the description of the magics that happened and the spells that were done. Super interesting. And I want to see, I'm interested enough to continue with the sequel. So all in all, like I said, not many thoughts about it, and so I guess I'll go with 3 stars. I think a lot of people would really like this if they're wanting something fantasy related that's not just a huge cast of characters. It's not in these huge outlandish worlds, because this is based in New York, so it's, low fantasy. I think people would really enjoy it, especially if they prefer plot-driven books. Don't think it's a bad book at all. There was just a little bit more that I wanted from it. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, just kind of low fantasy, something you can just really, get into and then read quickly, enjoy the ride for what it is, I would still suggest reading it. But if you love character work, if that's what really drives you to enjoy books, I don't know if I would really recommend it because it's just not there. So I'm guessing, I'm just going to say 3 stars. If you've already read this book, let me know how you felt about it. If you were disappointed, if you DNF'd it, let me know why, or about how far into the book you got. If you absolutely loved this book, let me know, because I want to hear, your thoughts on why and what really worked for you for it. And let me know if you're going to read the sequel, because I'm still up in the air, but I'm probably, who am I kidding? I'm probably going to read it. Y'all take care. Bye.